Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be filming with you my October TBR. So it's been a little while since I've posted a video, and that is 100% because I started school again this month, the month of September. I am going back for my master's degree in library and information science, so it's been pretty intensive. The courses are quite hard and it's a lot of work, so I'm doing my best on working on a September reading vlog for you guys, so that should be up shortly, but for now I am just going to move on to my October TBR. This TBR is pretty small compared to most of my TBRs, just because I've noticed in the last month that I don't have nearly as much time for decompressing and for reading as I normally do the last few months, so it's going to be a bit of a slower ride for the rest of the year, but I am excited nonetheless. So the month of October comes with a lot of spooky reads and spooky readathons that I am so excited to be participating in. One is an old favorite, one is a new one, and I just can't wait to start both. So without further ado, let's just get on into the TBR. So the first readathon I'm going to be participating in during the month of October is one that I participated in last year and it was super fun. It is the Gothtober readathon hosted by Ledette. I am so excited about this. This is a goth and Halloween inspired readathon, and this year's theme is angels versus demons. Very excited about this. I am going to be participating on the side of the demons because this is the side that had most of the prompts that I wanted to read from, so I'm excited about that. I will make a note that there are 4 prompts at the end that are universal depending on what team you're on. So those 4 prompts that are universal are to watch a angel themed or demon themed film and TV show, to have a book featuring LGBTQ+ rep, to have a book featuring BIPOC rep, and to have a book featuring disability rep, just in order to diversify your reading. So the first prompt for the demon board for Gothtober Readathon is to read a book featuring mythology, and they are recommending that you try and steer clear of Greek mythology since it is so prevalent in books these days. And for that, I'm going to be actually combining it with another prompt just to make my TBR a little bit smaller. Another prompt for Gothtober is to read a book featuring a dark romance or with dark romance themes. So for that, I'm going to be reading Heart of the Fae by Emma Hamm. This is a self-published high fantasy romance book that I have seen recommended so many times from Jean over at Jean's Bookish Thoughts. I'm super excited about this. This focuses on a version of Irish mythology, actually, which I'm very excited about considering that I am half Irish, and it focuses on the myths of the Fae, based in Irish mythology. This book follows Saoirse, who is our main character. She's the daughter of a midwife, and as a plague is going through this world, she finds that her father only has a few months to live. She has to make this damning deal with the Fae creatures around her to go off in order to find a reclusive prince whose throne was stolen from him. I'm so incredibly excited to read this. I've had this on my TBR for a while. I've been hearing Jean talk about it for many years, and I'm very excited to get started on my first Emma Hamm book. It's going to be great. Next prompt on the demon board is to read a book featuring omens as a key theme or on the front cover. For that, I couldn't not read this book. I'm going to be reading Good Omens by Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett. I've also had this book on my TBR for much too long. I'm obsessed with the TV show and I absolutely need to read it ASAP. This is a interesting story about an angel named Aziraphale and a demon named Crowley who have become good friends over time. Since the dawn of time, as they have been an angel and a demon tasked with doing good and spreading evil on Earth. And they discover that they end up at the same places every time, almost every single time they go to do something, and realize that them both being there doing their thing kind of cancels out the good and the evil. So they just kind of don't do it, and they go and become friends instead. And this follows them throughout time, but also as they try and prevent the apocalypse, because the Antichrist is coming and ends up going missing. So they have to find the Antichrist in order to stop the apocalypse, because they've grown to like humanity and they don't want humanity to end. I'm so excited to finally read the source material for this. I've heard amazing things about it, and it's what better time than to read it than during October. The next prompt for the demon board is to read a book featuring found family, either as a main theme or featuring the said trope. For that, I'm going to be continuing on with the series I started back in August, and that is Wondersmith, the second book in the Nevermore series. This is The Calling of Morgan Crow by Jessica Townsend. It tells the story of Morgan Crow, who is a cursed child. So basically, everything bad that ever happens in her town is blamed on her, same as every other cursed child, and she is doomed to die on her 11th birthday. Instead of dying, however, she ends up getting swept up in this world by a man named Jupiter North and taken to a secret city called Nevermore in order to participate in these trials to become a part of the Wondrous Society. And it's a way for her to cheat death and to maybe find a place where she belongs. As with most middle grade books, this heavily features the found family trope, with so many different characters coming from all different reaches of this world with all different motives and great friendships, and I can't wait to continue on with this series. I absolutely adored the first book. I devoured it in nearly one sitting, so I'm very excited to continue on with Wondersmith. The next book that I'm going to be reading actually counts for 2 prompts again as well. This one is going to count for the book featuring LGBTQ+ rep and the book featuring disability rep. And for that, I'm going to be reading the graphic novel Mooncakes by Wendy Zhu, Suzanne Walker, and Jomette Gill. This I don't really know a hell of a lot about. I know it's cozy, spooky, and it says on the back, one fateful night, teen witch Nova Huang follows reports of a white wolf in the woods and discovers her childhood crush, werewolf Tam Lang, battling a horse demon. Now, against the background of a slowly rekindling romance, Tam and Nova must investigate the dark supernatural forces eager to claim wolf magic for evil. I'm very excited about this. It's definitely queer. I know it also has rep for hard of hearing and deaf people, because one of the main characters is hard of hearing, and I absolutely cannot wait to read this. It is so cute. The artwork is absolutely stunning, and I've been wanting to read this for a long time. So again, perfect timing for this readathon. I should also mention that Mooncakes also does have BIPOC rep as well. Next up is to read a book featuring murder. For that, I am going to be reading Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. This is a adult fantasy, adult paranormal book set at Yale University and following a bunch of different secret societies, or maybe one secret society. The blurb on the front says, the mesmerizing adult debut from Leigh Bardugo, a tale of power, privilege, dark magic, and murder set among the Ivy League elite. It follows our main character, Alex, who I think can see ghosts. And it says here that by age 20, she's the sole survivor of a horrific unsolved multiple homicide. And seems that she's thrown her life away, but she's offered a second chance to attend one of the world's most prestigious universities on a full ride, and the catch is something to do with this secret society and ghosts. So I've heard this is dark, I've heard it's creepy, and I am very excited to read this very soon. This also has Own Voices disability rep because Leigh Bardugo herself is also disabled, so I am pumped to finally be reading this. I think I started reading this literally 2 years ago. Haven't actually made it more than a few pages, so I am ready to give this a go. Finally, the last book that I'm going to be reading for the Demon Board for Gothtober is going to be a book featuring classics, either inspired by classics or to read a classic yourself. For that, I'm going to be reading The Strange Case of the Alchemist's Daughter by Theodora Goss. This follows our main character, Mary Jekyll, who is supposed to be the daughter of Dr. Jekyll, and it deals with a kind of historical fantasy type setting. It's got so many different classical characters in this, like let me just read you the back of the book here. Mary Jekyll, alone and penniless following her parents' death, quickly finds herself drawn to the secrets of her father's mysterious past. A clue leads her to believe that Edward Hyde, her father's former friend and a murderer, may be nearby, and there's still a reward for information resulting in his capture, a reward that will solve all of her immediate financial woes. But her hunt brings her not to Edward Hyde, but to Diana, his daughter, a near feral child left to be raised by nuns. With the assistance of Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson, Mary continues her search for the elusive Hyde, and soon gathers around her more women, all of whom have been created through terrifying experimentation. Beatrice Rappaccini, Catherine Moreau, and Justine Frankenstein. When their investigations lead them to the discovery of a secret society of immoral and power-crazed scientists, the horrors of their past soon arrive on their doorstep as well. And now it is up to the 5 women to stop the malicious machinations of this society of alchemists. Quite simply, it's time for the monsters to triumph over the monstrous. This is also a book that I've heard a lot about from Jean over at Jean's Bookish Thoughts, and it's one that I've also had on my TBR for a while. This sounds like a great autumnal, heavily inspired by classics read, so I absolutely cannot wait to read this for Gothtober. So the next readathon is one that is brand spanking new and one that I'm very excited to be reading. This one is hosted by Spoopy Hall, so Holly, and this readathon is called Spoopathon. So this is a spooky themed, haunted house themed readathon that I am so excited about. Basically, the premise of Spoopathon is you are trying to escape a haunted house, and to do so you have to rack up points based on the books that you read. You pick a team, you choose a path, and you try and escape the house by reading as many books as you can. I've chosen to be on Spoop's team, which is Spoop's Shivers, and the ability that my team has is to move diagonally across the board, so to kind of switch paths halfway through, if you will. In order to make it through the house, you have to also pass through locked doors and defeat ghosts, depending on where you are on the board. I'll put a picture of it up on the screen here. And to do so, you have to have read a certain amount of points. Each book is 25 points. There are bonus prompts that you can stack on top of your book if they feature said attributes. In order to heighten your score, each bonus prompt is 50 points. And at the end, you get 100 points for escaping. So the first 3 books that I'm going to be reading for Spoopathon are books that are already on this TBR, and then the other one is going to actually be my book club pick for the month of October because it fits in perfectly. I'm going to be starting on the first path, which means my first prompt is to read a book with a black cover, so I'm going to be reading Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. This book also has the bonus prompts of being spooky and diverse, so I'm going to be racking up 125 points with this. Next up, I'm going to be moving diagonally towards the right on the board and going towards the autumnal cover prompt, and for that I'm going to be reading Heart of the Fae. This one also is I would consider to be spooky, so I'm going to get an extra 50 points on this. Next, I'm going to be moving down to the new genre prompt, and for that I'm going to be reading choosing my graphic novel just because I'm still new to the genre, and that is going to be Mooncakes. This one is also diverse and this one is also LGBTQ+ and spooky. And then the last book, I'm going to be going down to the diverse rep prompt and using that. I'm going to be using this book for the diverse rep prompt and the final prompt of reading it after dark because it is super short. This book is going to be a middle grade book called Ghost Boys by Jewel Parker Rhodes. This is a book that I'm reading for my book club during the month of October. It is a middle grade book. I'm going to be reading it as an audiobook because it's super short. It's only 3 hours. And I'll be listening to it after dark in order to fulfill these prompts. But Ghost Boys tells the story of 12-year-old Jerome, who is shot by a police officer after mistaking his toy gun for being real. He then follows around in the wake as a ghost and ends up meeting Emmett Till's ghost. Emmett Till being a 14-year-old boy who was lynched in 1955 in Mississippi for offending a woman in a grocery store when he was 14. Together, he journeys along with Emmett Till as he learns more about the history and the unfortunate reality of racism in his world. And it is a brilliant blending of fiction and sociopolitical history in order to tell a story in a way that is appropriate for children. I'm so excited to read this. I've been wanting to read it for a very long time, so I'm very excited that my book club picked it for this month, and it's going to be a great way to round off Spoopathon. Well, that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching my October TBR. I'm so excited to be participating in both these readathons and to be reading all of these fantastic books during the month of October. Hopefully I can get through them all. I really, really hope I can. But either way, please like this video if you did enjoy it, and leave me a comment down below letting me know what books you're planning on reading during the month of October, or if you're participating in either readathons and what teams you're going to be on. I'm so excited. And if you're new here, please subscribe. I put out new bookish and writing videos every week, and I hope you guys have a lovely day. Bye-bye.